What's up guys, it's Talon here. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at how you can improve your solo cash cup skills by analyzing top EU pro BenjyFishy and how he placed second overall. But before I get into this VOD review guys, if you do enjoy my content or find what I'm telling you helpful, please drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on post notifications. Also, if you wish to support me in another way, use code Talon.fn in the Fortnite item shop, #ad. But without further ado, let's just jump right in. Alright guys, as you can see on the screen we have BenjyFishy's POV. He's going to be predominantly landing Lazy Lake in most of these games, and it's an incredibly well-rounded performance from BenjyFishy. There is a lot of ways he ends up winning games and placing high using all different sorts of metas. I really enjoyed this VOD review, and I feel like there's a ton of techniques and tips that can really help elevate your solo cash cup gameplay. Let's
like and subscribe.
Let's let Benji introduce.
Thanks, though. Enjoy the video.
First here, he's again, like I said, mentioned going to be landing Lazy Lake. He gets a gold spabs off spawn, so you're thinking, all right, going to be a lot of W King. Fantastic tracking right there early on. And you see this opponent's going to be running early off spawn, probably doesn't have a lot of mats, accidentally falls in the trash can. The guy actually hit a pretty good angle, but fortunately for Benji, the guy has what I like to call the little feather duster in the nice full box right here. He tries a pickaxe bait, then creates a right hand peek, and then lets the opponent run out of him. Probably wouldn't have killed him anyways with the lever. He gets out of Lazy here. He sees his opponent's kind of having a nice little engagement just on the outskirts of Lazy Lake. This opponent has chili chug splashes. So really important to get for endgame, but he's also thinking for more than likely W King with him being first game. Look at that cone. Fantastic work. Getting that piece control. That's such a just a quick cone, quick recognition. I'm not going to go play it back in slow-mo. But it's again, just recognize, notice where does that opponent go. If you get that cone up there, you just trap him right here. And the opponent basically is looking lost. It's just so unexpected. I mean, I'm sure that opponent can't see where Benji is. And so that cone just stops all progress, and he's basically just caught. And then you're going to see him use predominantly these chili chug splashes for keying. Opponent does a good job of reading Benji right there, but just misses the shot. That ramp usually does come in late, the higher ping you're on. Good protective, just fantastic come right there, and then unfortunately gets third party for a little bit. Sitting here on a right hand peek, and that's the and this is what can sometimes get you in trouble. Good players, if you get too predictable, if you get too over aggressive, this double swing will really make things difficult, or not make things difficult, just get you in trouble sometimes. He's setting up on a right hand peek. This is the correct setup, but even a double swing, notice how here this opponent actually times it perfectly. If Benji's still baiting here, he doesn't get that return damage. And notice again, he tries to get the ramp in there. Most of the time nowadays, that ramp is not going to be too beneficial to you. Usually it's just too late. You'll get shot through it a ton, even in my own personal experience, and that's just another perfect example. Fortunately, he has tons of chili chug splashes, and the opponent doesn't basically over-aggresses after cracking shield. Oh my goodness. Opponent actually hits a massive big shot with a lever. Immediately double boxes to create space. And then again, creating more boxes to get space. At this point, he's either got to get return damage or try to get the big off. Fantastic wide open edit. Just times it beautifully. And then finishes it off. Exactly. You almost kind of want to use that big pot as kind of a way to get your opponent to over-aggress, because that's exactly what he does here. Like he truly, like, sure, 150 is good enough to fight on, but if you were trying to get that big, but notice the opponent sits here, and what does he do? Double swings, just like Benji did on the previous opponent. Crack. It's a nice wide edit, and even though it's very open, it's timed perfectly, and if he doesn't crack the opponent, he does have that wall in front of him to reset to his left. And then he just does a good job of tracking right here, covering off his angles, third party, and then gets a nice little crack, and he gets a refresh, even after an unfortunate start with the car. 72 damage to start off. Does a good job right there. The opponent's kind of lost. Again, facing the Feather Duster, not too worried against the spaz. Realizes that's a bad peek and gets off that angle. Another right hand peek right here. Notice playing like mind games with pickaxe baiting. There he gets the ramp in. 100. 50-50's in. Now again, you just got to be careful when you dive into those boxes. Yes, he had done a little bit of chip damage. However, if he misses that pump shot, it changes it. Would prefer to stay up with maybe a shield crack, be a little bit more confident, but that was only about a 50 tag. The opponent still could turn that fight around. But confidence again in the box. Good aim. Trust your aim. Good recognition that opponent was going to edit out there. There he gets the ramp in. Just times it a little bit better. Good crosshair placement on the pre-fire. Even if the opponent doesn't edit. Pickaxe bait. Already adapting from his mistakes earlier. Gets that sidewall too. Very nice. It's a good job of getting a little bit of chip damage. Full pieces, 34. And again, you get in that situation too. Again, that's just confidence in the box, but you sometimes even see that gold spaz hits for 34 up close, and the opponent hits a max damage 175, and you lose that just by what I like to is just following your piece control. So basically, you get the piece control, and then you just continue to dive in, and you don't have an escape route. Like once you're in there's zero escape route. It just becomes an aim duel at that point. And he had done some previous fight damage, so again, just confidence at advantage. He's not taking any of these fights at disadvantage. Right here, you're going to see him absolutely roll a kid. Good piece control, back wall, got him sniffing. Probably put him in the whoop day. Finds a little bush rat here. Full box, misses the shot. And then 203s. That was the most... You can tell that opponent was probably not the best cone peeking in game number 1. Or not cone peeking, bush ratting. Right there, that's another good example of a pickaxe bait, right? So you can really utilize it. Full piece, misses the shot. And again, I've been saying it all over. Yes, look at, understand that he's lobbied. This is his first game. He trusts his aim, but it finally happened, right? Where we follow our piece control. We do a great job of pickaxe bait. We're only at 52 health advantage. His opponent's 150 when he gets right here. So right here. So notice how we run forward. And then we do what ends up happening sometimes. And again, why does Benji win this? The opponent has the Feather Duster, right? So it takes even a 108 shot, whatever. The opponent, if he has a much better shot, is probably going to finish in just good AR aim to bail him out. But again, if he full boxes and maybe then stays back, maybe less of a 50-50. But again, it happens, and that's just confidence in your aim. Sorry, there was an ad. Let's continue. And again, early on, you'll see him take less and less 50-50s. And when you're W King to end fights fast, you're probably willing to take that. But there's so many situations. Oh, this guy's nearly getting full piece. Good crosshair placement right there. Let the opponent, again, in a panic situation, make the play for you. But what I was talking about, again, is in those 50-50s, you see players that are less confident in their aim, less confident in their buildings, lose those fights by missing those shots. Even though that they should have won, maybe just because they just, one, don't trust their aim, just don't have that good of aim. Good attempts at full boxes you see right here. Now he's got to be aware here that his AR isn't reloaded. Coming from underneath, trying to block that off. And does a great job of coming from underneath. Even from seasons ago when Benji was dominating solo F and CS, this was just a thing he did constantly. He does it still to this day, is coming from underneath. Coming from underneath is so great. I'll always advocate if you have that opportunity to do so. One, there's no defense, there's no counter to it. If you know how to spray through up, you're going to get up. The only way the opponent wins in that situation is they pre-fire, and if you should be doing this again, playing... This guy nearly gets put in the whoop-dee. 180. You see the angles in piece controller there. Double swing doesn't get him in trouble, but then pre-fire. There doesn't double swing. 34. Boom. Trusting his aim. 14 eliminations and a good first game definitely to start off. Double swing, the opponent's running away. Tries to cut off the angle, he does there. Same type of situation again. Fortunately this time the opponent's backs to him. And the opponent is also weak. Opponent pads. Crack shield, so that's also another thing. It's like you gotta be thinking 30, 23, so he's probably only 150. Now here's the opponent, and here's 66, full piece. Oh, this is great. I just want to talk about the awareness right here, because it could have gone so wrong. You get so worried in that situation. You gotta be intelligent too. So again, you have that 50 crack, 150. So you know that more than likely you're already at significant health advantage. Yes, he may have found some loot. Hopefully no chug splashes, but you'd hear those. Now again, 66, we see another crack. So we got minis. The opponent then flips this, but a good decision to place his own ramp and then edit it instead of just wait for the shotgun that's just waiting to be 200 pump and ruining your day on an opponent you definitely should have eliminated. So good recognition right there. Good cone. That's one of my favorite plays. You see, oh wow. Oh, that's so unfortunate for so many reasons. Now, you got to be scared against the P90. 34. I was surprised with him playing so aggressive with low HP. Opponent does a good job of going away. He's trying to maybe get a bleed through shot. I like that as well. But he heals back up, and then actually what he does is he has so many launch pads. He's not playing for endgame. 13 people going into fourth. Probably not going to be too much of an issue. He just resets the fight and finds somewhere else. Does a good job of boxing this opponent. I believe he might get stolen right here. The opponent actually ends up frying both. Using a lot of mats to get away. And that's one thing in solo is that when you're low, don't be afraid to burn your mats. 116 again. Opponent falls down. Opponent's just running for his life. No tunnel vision though. He heard the opponent then again above him, and so what does he do? He resets. Now we've used a significant amount of materials. But we get a nice, significant amount of white damage. We get that finish, and then we're going to pad to it immediately because we need a refresh. Not sure if we get it, though, because the video cuts. Good use of the tree to protect himself. Good high walls. Then pickaxe baiting. Gets up on a right-hand peak. Now he's facing a lever. Should feel extremely confident. Right-hand peak, 30. But then cones, again, the opponent was already at 150. Maybe beaming a little bit of trolling or just some poor aim. But again, the lever hitting for 16 or whatever it hits for. And Benji feels super confident taking that 50-50 on the wall. Good pre-fight damage. Does a good job of conserve padding, but you hear the car coming over. Make sure he covers off that angle. Gets a fantastic job. Now this opponent has no choice. Nothing that opponent can do. He blocks off all angles and takes the cone. It's over. 20 bomb. I don't know what this guy's playing. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know how to tell you anything other than that. And then wow, that still happens in today. You just think the game being out so significantly long, things like that wouldn't occur. It's a wall first try. Gets a great job of coning. Now that little jitter, unfortunate. Now I like this so much better. Places the ramp for protection over his head. And the W team is just going to non-stop. I don't think they really even get into moving zones. See full boxes. This is again another situation though. It's like that falling down. It's like we get here. I know we've all been here. We've been in this situation. 31, right? Then we get piece control, and then we just jump down in. What do we do here? We whiff. Oh, actually, we only hit 116. Sorry, I apologize. It almost looked like he whiffed. But again, we get in that situation, we miss, and we get a good finish. Playing aggressive, sure, but just stay above. A great person to watch that is 118, as well as getting that ramp in there. Reed is a great example of someone that just usually will even make, when he's making those type of edits, will stay put. We'll do a triple edit from the layer above so he has an escape route. Good pickaxe bait, and then you can see why it's so crucial. 43. Does a good job of pre-boxing, cutting that angle off, covering his head. You hear the opponent above him, so he has to be mindful, and that's why he stops what he's doing. Covers up more angles. This opponent shows a little bit of tunnel vision, and then gets pinched. 111, he cuts off all angles, and the zone makes this incredibly difficult. And the opponent is quickly finished. That's just a good job at that end there of just cutting off angles, and then forcing the opponent, just not having tunnel vision too, right? Just not being so heavily focused. You saw that pink skin have a little bit of tunnel vision. Jumps from Benji and then doesn't cover his head when fighting the other opponent, but you see Benji doing that. That's why Benji takes no damage in that fight. Game number 2, again, lazy. You're just seeing him place the ramp there. Off spawn, no mats, take that 50-50. I'm not particularly upset about that at all. In that situation, it's the better play. Now, not a significant amount of builds, so I like him playing it a little bit slow. Good recognition that the opponent was going to edit down. And the gold pistol is one of the most underrated. Hitting Dr. Sloan's rifle is also one of the best weapons in the game. It has good pressure, not great, but good pressure and very, very high damage. I wonder if we see a chop here. Or maybe Benji can kind of slow play him, come down. Very good piece control right here. Now this is where things get a little bit shady though. Let's just take a look at that, just what ends up happening there, because I'm sure we've all been in this situation as well, where we get a piece control, a good damage crack, and it just seems, and it's just awkward, and then we would like miskey or misclick, and then take our builds back out, or whatever it may be, but it just looks like whatever happened is not what Benji was expecting to happen. Let me see, I don't know if it's nerves, but it just seems like this aim wasn't as crisp. This, recognizing that where this opponent is, was just incredible that he hits this particular angle, but again, this particular angle. But look at this, again, double box, always playing for 2 boxes. But he just reads exactly where the opponent is. And this is a pretty difficult play to get right here. Nice. Cracks, 100 resets. No, we just whiff, and then maybe miskey, or maybe wanted to go. We don't truly know. But again, switching to that harpoon kind of bails him out too, so I think that was intentional to kind of just block out. Just missing the shot there. But you see the plan was there. It just looked awkward. It almost looks like that. Oh my goodness, hit him with a Martaz. That's a very good technique to put in your repertoire. Again, having a ramp over your head, and then a floor, and then jumping hitting a shot. It is almost impossible for the opponent to do a significant amount of damage to you. We'll do that. 39. This gun has good bleed through damage, even though that it's an AUG, because it has an increased fire rate. It's a good job of taking that with the AR right there, even though the opponent's running away. You hear that shield crack, and then you hear a third party that's inbound as well. Does a great job with the harpoon getting in. He hears him, and he gets a refresh mid-game, 4 eliminations. There's about 80-ish damage. It's going to use a car to rotate. Now I think what ends up happening here is someone recognizes that he has a car, And this is a great way. It's like, okay, you're going to sit here and just spray at me. He does a great job of ending him down. See, I don't mind that as much. You just fried him off. He's getting pressured. And you can kind of use those extra mats to replace the car. Because the car was then getting focused. Almost the car rotate at this point is not even worth it. You gained another pad from intelligently keying. They both place a pad right here. Benji follows. It's always good to recycle pads whenever you get the opportunity. And we have Harpoon. Look at our mats here. We're sitting here 4-2-3. Don't know what that guy's... Oh, the opponent's trying to shoot out the top. 39 white again. And then he finally gets the elimination. And then this is... Harpoon is so good. You can see right there. And then... Did he get another pad? No, he did not. Should have maybe prioritized that. But... Then again, you could see him padding about halfway. Look at his mat still. 4-2-3. And that's just the use of the pads. And Harpoon to get refreshes. 33 damage using the breakthrough to retake height. 6 eliminations. Now all he has to do is maintain height. He's got a pad as well if he needs. And he's burned it already. Get a little bit closer and maintain height. Reinforce. He can look back in the zone. Look players that are shambles. Or maybe trying to take heals. Look at that immediately. Someone comes and takes a path outside the storm, and Benji gets an immediate refresh in terms of health and shield. And because we've used our pads early, this has netted us having significant amount of mats in later zones. He's still over 500 builds. Not to mention now, any death, even that's not at Benji's own hand, he's able to Harpoon. Now, unfortunately, we kind of miss here. We get a little bit. I think we get like siphoned brick out of that. That's exactly what ends up happening. But with him being on high ground, it's not that big of a problem. He doesn't have to build. And then there's another situation. He gets another elimination. And unfortunately doesn't have any more Harpoons. But you see the game plan in this particular instance is stay on height, use Harpoon. Use launch pads early to conserve mats for late. See the opponent making a medkit play, and that opponent is instantly dead. I was a tad bit surprised he didn't go down for that, but again, he's still over 500. He gets into like a miniature build fight, but the opponent immediately backs off. You usually don't have a significant amount of people challenging for height and night, but you do see that here. And again, as soon as I say that, someone challenges for height and night with a launch pad and instantly pays for it. He doesn't get the height correctly. He's not able to get any of those mats off of those 2 eliminations. Now this, I think, was a big mistake. Him jumping down caused him to lose a decent amount of shield and probably burn some mats he didn't want to. I'm always a fan when if you're in the 1v1v1, and I've seen it from most, is most pros that are on top will stay on top. Now, good movement right there to win that fight, but other than that, that's all that was to win that last fight. Fantastic game plan overall. And again, you're going to see the same thing here. We have a Harpoon already. We should recognize pretty early on this opponent may not be the best. Why may he not be the best? He's on a scuff layer. He's still building out of wood. Wood is one tap to a Harpoon. You have to be aware around you and hear that Harpoon. Click. And here's a perfect example of why the Harpoon is fantastic for solos. As you can get this refresh without even getting credited for the kill. And this feels so much better. And then look, he gets a significant amount of chili chuck bashes. Like, I'm talking a ridiculous amount. He somewhere gets like, I believe, 10 chili chuck splashes. Which is not only going to give him heals, which is going to allow him to take zone, it's also going to give him significant amounts of speed. He's got 3 launch pads to play with as well. So we're thinking a high placement game. We have the movement, we have the mats. We get fried right here. and then immediately building a metal. I like it, right? Immediately build a metal. Looking up before we pad, making sure we're not smacking our head on anything. That's just a surefire way to ruin good games, is if you pad right into nothing and go nowhere, and then you have to burn all your mats and then force refreshes. Double boxing once getting into zone. Still being active though. Still looking for angles. Still looking for picks. 30 players left, so a significantly stacked game. Good tack of damage right there. But doesn't look at his mats. 3-1-2. Not going to force anything that needs to be forced. 5 chili chug splashes. A launch pad. No engagement truly needs to be forced. He's only looking for things that are going to be just free. He's going to splash early in case he gets caught up on a build, which happens. You can see that right there. Well, after the opponent has the awareness to comb that off. This is a great high take, too. He cracks shield off height, and there you go. Immediately gets it. Bullies the opponent off with good pressure who needs to heal. And then again, obviously the chili chug splash and giving that additional speed boost that makes that so much easier than just when you're running at normal speed. Now you hear the opponent trying to chop out. It takes a significant amount of damage from that. Use the metal early this time. Good cone right there to trap that opponent. Gets 92.
Come on.
And again, you see that opponent. That pistol is absolutely nasty and lethal. With the amount of mats you had, I liked the play. It was a good refresh opportunity.
God,
no complaints. Again, landing lazy. And you're going to see him again here come from underneath. Even if there is no cone involved, he gets there, hits him with a feather duster, they hit each other with feather dusters, and then he wins the 50-50. 98, and you can see just the frustrating thing about it. Get hit for like 129 as opposed to 80. Doing a good job of creating space again, you're going to see that. Fantastic. Sit there on a right-hand peak on the double box. That is the right-hand peak for that particular box. If you have 2 boxes, if you edit the Dorito tile that way, that is always going to be a right-hand peak. Sorry, guys, there was an ad. Let's continue. Good cone right here, and then nice pickaxe bait. Again, to get that opponent to edit up. Unfortunately, we don't have the lever reloaded. It can be awkward sometimes, but we change our angles, realize we have the cone on top, and finish the fight. Now we're going to launch pad here, and this was pretty interesting. I don't know why, but if you go to your top right and see where the map is, you're going to see a cat's nose getting booped. I don't know. I don't know why. I've never seen that before in a VOD review, so just a little interesting. And maybe it was talking about the fact he basically padded back and forth. I don't know. But does a good job of getting to front side immediately. It's going to make a fantastic play. You see the opponent die up there, and then he gets basically an instantaneous refresh of 3 bodies worth of mats, but I think some of the mats fell through. Now we're going to see another use. One, spicy fish, another way of getting from front to back. Same thing as peppers. Now we're going to see the use of the shadow flopper, but I would not recommend using it like this. This is not how you maximize a shadow flopper. The zone was from elevation to de-elevation, and they were not. Unfortunately, you're going to see here him just get focused and crack from it. It does get him a good way down, but he's still having to rotate the zone. Significantly crack from it. You see most of the time it used.
Oh my god.
Very fortunate right there he doesn't get eliminated with that shotgun shot missing and that opponent also taking the pad. But the shadow flop, like I was saying, it's best used up in the sky where you can't be seen super high above. You see it often as a swanton move in trios.
No!
And then unfortunately gets shot through his wall trying to conserve tarp. And then that is how that fight ends. Good job of blocking that pressure off right there. And this is again showing confidence in his aim, pushing with the AR. and it's going to cost him. This is something where, again, this is like where you're a little bit overzealous. Yes, it's probably bad. Maybe guys chronosending or just soft aimers is really lucky bloom. But again, it's 50-50. He has 2 chug splashes in his inventory, and he's just basically bloom flying up close.
What the?
I'm not saying it was a bad play at all, because it truly wasn't. He was at health advantage. He knew that, but just, again, not fighting intelligently, just 50-50. And it costs you sometimes. Now, this is going to be one of the sickest X8 classics I've ever seen. And I'm going to play it in slow motion, because it's one of my favorite moves that I've never seen executed in this particular manner before. I thought it was fantastic. This guy actually does a great counter on the Mitra Classic right here. And Benji, if his aim is worse there, he loses that. But this ramp phase is by far the most impressive I've seen in a VOD review, because I've never seen someone do this before. And it's actually incredibly intelligent, simply because he recognizes the opponent is going to place a ramp behind his head. So what do you do to counter that? You counter and phase. If that opponent then places the ramp, it's gonna phase. This is the opponent's ramp he's phasing. This is incredibly intelligent. And then fantastic crosshair placement, 154. Now, like I said, the opponent actually does a pretty nice job of countering the Mitra Classic, and I don't blame him for wanting to get in at all. He's sitting at, what, 45-ish HP? So him 50-50 in right here. He's going to jump, get the cone, but he actually does the switcheroo. But then Benji then immediately corrects his mistake right here. He cuts off the angle. The opponent misses. And then Benji does a hit for Muncher, blanks. Unfortunately, good aim finishes him. That could have definitely been a problem since he was carrying a FAMAS. But clutches up the shots, trusting the aim, and just a good cutoff right here. Now, W-keying around the slipstream can be incredibly annoying. Everyone can fly to you. If you're fighting in this area, you want these fights to go quickly. This could also happen. The opponent does a good job of getting a little bit of damage off on him, but he doesn't cover his top and he gets third party. This is exactly what I was talking about. Benji does a good job of at least cutting the opponent off to get that loot. And again, Benji wins that tag. The opponent has the Feather Duster. They decide to just reset the fight. Good angle. And again, what I talk about, how sometimes getting that ramp in there, it's a nice play in theory, but it just doesn't really seem to work anymore. Most of the time, that situation, they're going to phase up or through it. That's such a good peak. That's good timing. And this is going to allow him to get his heals off. I also love this. This is resetting. He doesn't get in there to finish the fight, so what does he do? He goes, okay, more than likely you're going to get whatever heals off. I'm going to get my heals off as well. Right hand peek immediately when he edits. Again, a protected peek as well right there. Same thing right here. Again, nice protected angle, kind of like an Arkham peek is what I used to call it when you come up from the box to the side. Gets the cone down. The opponent does a good, pretty decent job for most of this fight. Just kind of taking it slow, taking angles. Doesn't force anything that's too bad. Nice little peek right here. Good clone flip up from the opponent to prevent Benji from eliminating him right there. Gets the first try. Now this is where things get sketch. Unfortunately for Benji, he does have the harpoon. It allows him to escape right here. Double box for space. Good job hitting for a little bit of damage, and then pickaxe baiting again, and this time waiting for the right opportunity to use the harpoon and finish the fight. That was pretty drawn out. The opponent did a good job of the most part protecting angles, but Benji just too good. Good recognition cutting that angle off, and now you put him in an awkward spot on awkward terrain. And that's why the opponent has to move a couple boxes away. We've seen now more and more of the pickaxe baiting. Right there, again, another instance of it. Now the opponent just phases through, which can happen sometimes if you get a little too cute. And again, that is wood, so more than likely, yes, it's probably going to be taken. Now, I want you to look at this loadout because it is incredibly important. For those of you who have not been in competitive Fortnite, or for those of you that haven't been a supporter of the channel, I'm going to talk about a time in Fortnite where this was meta, and that was Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 1. And this is Benji. This was when Benji's like coming out party after World Cup, of him being one of the best solo players, even though he didn't have as good as a World Cup performance. He's going to use the pads to get forth, but this for him was meta. This was that there was no launch pads. There was barely any way for you to move around the map. There was no fishes. There was just no movement. So floppers, this is when floppers were first introduced in the game. This is when they were 50 HP. And you're going to see him turn this into, I believe, a very great high take. Now, I want to talk about this. He scuffs it up mechanically, but this is the new wave. What you see a lot of just top tier players now do, instead of what I'm going to talk about here, is what I like to call, it's just a different type of edit. It's more unexpected and it's more protected, I guess. And it's actually not as mechanically challenging other than crosshair placement. The other one, you have to incorporate movement. Now you're going to see, like most will do, edit out into a clicks peak. But for in this particular situation, what it is end up going to occur, he's going to land and then look. So you get this ramp over him. You know, most of the time you edit out to the side, then edit a window because the opponent's underneath your stairs. But now what a lot of professional players are doing is once they get this aspect, they're going to look back and then edit this ramp like this. Now you see him try to do that. He just scuffs it mechanically. And the opponent in that time takes up the wall. If you do it correctly, it can be really a lethal combo. Most people expect you to do a window edit or some kind right here. So just another different edit to put in your repertoire, to put into your bag of tricks. And unfortunately, it just doesn't execute it mechanically there. Now 600 builds, he's used a little bit of launch pads. I like the use of wood here too, because he wants to box up in hard. That's exactly what he does. Again, playing from 2 box. He does a good job of getting ahead here, especially up elevation. Or recognizes early to elevate. Great job right here. This is also just a smart thing he does. It's staggering his AR pressure. He gets that opponent comfortable to move. And he gets an important refresh. But he gets that opponent comfortable to move. I don't know if that person like DC or not. But he was Shambles Max. Basically siphon. That opponent above him does a great job of baiting that out. Notice still being active but not forcing anything. And this is the BenjyFishy of Chapter 2 Season 1. He has carrying so many floppers. Floppers were even more broken back then. But you're going to see him milk these floppers into a hype take with 300 builds. He gets so far behind this guy, he has no idea. And look at that. Beautiful piece of art. And he still has 3 floppers to play heal off if he wants. Probably not going to go to that. Notice in this situation what he does in the 1v1v1. Already learning from his just before previously. What does he do in the 1v1v1? He stays up, lets it become a 1v1. Gets some damage rewarded. Also has enough mats to take the high ground back. Fantastic recognition. When you get harpooned or chopped down, you want your gun out. You want to basically be able to get good damage off. More than likely that opponent. Now this, I've seen Benji win so many 50-50s today, especially on Chester around. Good hip fire aim, good crosshair placement on the 50-50. Finds a gold og and a blue plump. crack shield. You also don't see a lot of people that land at their POI all throughout the entire drop spot. Good bait right there again. Usually you see someone land like a specific, like No Riley will land beach and then land a different area location. You don't usually see them all at lazy. Opponent runs away. Good block off real quick. The opponent just gets caught on the bench. Good angle right there as well. Reload management. Now we got to be careful here. We only have 4 pump shots. Misses and shot. Unfortunate right there. Kind of playing slow, not forcing anything. Drop down. That angle was really tough. That guy nearly killed him though. Again, that's like the...
Yo, bro.
That's again the danger, right? You get in that controller player's box, and he nearly shreds you for all your HP. You're playing that 50-50.
This is what I would definitely call just a big 50-50.
The opponent hits so many shots with the SMG, but
Yeah,
you fall in, and then what happens if you miss your pump? You're dead there. Now, you feel kind of bad for this guy. He starts getting pressured from the other side, but this is a problem where you don't want to have that wood wall. You get pressured, then you get stuck. You're on a scuff flare. That's probably more of his fault for bad positioning early on. Launchpad, we have 3 pads and peppers. So we've seen harpoon, we've seen shadow floppers, we've seen floppers, we've seen peppers, we've seen spicy fish. We've seen just use of just launch pads. We've seen so many different ways this far on how to extend your games, in especially in more stack lobbies in these solo cash cups. Now right here things get a little bit scary. And on that extra speed boost you can burn a lot of mat. So what I think Benji will do here is he'll either sit or use his pepper. And so he's going to use his pepper to go from back and front. He's going to conserve tart. And then as soon as he gets in, he double boxes for a lot of space. Still solid-ish on mats, around 500 to work with. Gets a good zone pull. He's probably going to pop the pep and then pop the pad. And then he uses the peppers to take height. Again, we've seen him use chili chuck splashes, peppers, spicy fish, floppers, just so many different ways. Such a well-rounded, just using anything and everything to extend his games and make his victory royales. It makes his games so much easier to obtain, to last longer. Good pressure to bully this guy off. You don't want anyone near your high ground. This guy, oh my god, this guy gets coned and boned, and then his shotgun just doesn't shoot there. And then Benji unfortunately has to give it up. But he gets another refresh, has another pad still, and is still moving quite fast on the spicy. Healing up. Still a significantly stacked game here. 22 players left. A solid job right there. He gets pressured more than likely because he's in wood. Great job catching that person in a cone. Now I'm going to say a minor mistake here. I think it's just a little bit lack of awareness here. And I'm not talking about true lack of awareness. It was such a small nuanced thing. Finally using a pad, and he also got another one. So if he wants, he can sit here, box up, continue to pad. But he can't because it's ninth. Never mind. Looks back in zone, gets another pick. 8 eliminations. Now right here he gets a 10th, but notice he had a flopper in his hand. Benji's going to end up dying to zone here, and I think it was just a minor miss. Also doesn't pad here and ends up just dying to storm. Kind of gets held.
Oh no.
So he could have gone out and padded, maybe conserve padded around, edged his zone, but when he saw that opponent die with a flopper in his hand, could have maybe then picked up the flapper. We don't know how many. Again, it still could have only been one, but could have sprayed through with the scar. Just maybe a little bit of potential more options. Noah Riley had an insane cash cup. I don't think it would have mattered. I think Benji would have had to have won or maybe play second to overtake Noah Riley in this situation anyways. But overall, an incredibly well-balanced VOD review. We saw, again, like I just was bringing up towards the end of the video, we saw the use of flappers to extend games. We saw the use of chilies to extend games. We saw the use of spicy fish. We saw the use of shadow flappers. We saw the use of chili chug splashes. We saw just constantly use of launch pads. All the movement pretty much was covered for the most part. I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anything else in the game that provides you movement. There's spicy fish, there's chilies, there's chili chug splashes, there's launch pads, there's shadow flappers. I think that's all in regard. Besides cars, and we saw an attempt at that and ended up getting them focused, which can happen sometimes. But he ended up getting a refresh off of it because someone was overpeaking because of that set car. And then we saw just an old school BenjyFishy flapper play. I just want to talk about it. Just one is just nostalgic, but it's just an old meta, and that just shows you that yes, even though it may not be the meta for this season, it put in the right hands. 8 floppers, you can definitely do that, and you see this in reboot rounds. You see this doing that with trios, just stacking as many white heels. Saw someone had 8 or 9 floppers and win a reboot round or an FNCS finals game. I can't remember which. This previous FNCS. Just by doing that, just stacking floppers, just know that there's many, many roads to victory. And we saw BenjyFishy provide a roadmap for many in this VOD review. Well, guys, that is going to do it for today. I hope that you did enjoy. If you did, please drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on post notifications. And I hope I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace.